It is that time of week again. We are back. ASUN Gameday Podcast. Kendrell, we had another week.
We had another one.
It was a week.
It was so a week. Like pretty much like my power rankings, everything just throw it away.
We got consistent things. Though. I mean, I know. I mean, FGCU probably still at the top. You know, they do FGCU things. I don't know though. Let me not speak too soon. You it might be you this week. We always, it's always one. It's always one in there. So it might be you. So let's just wait on that. But as we look around the ASUN analysis of the week, let's start with FGCU. Stetson was on a winning streak, but FGCU put that to an end. That game was close at the half. I think it was a few. I know Stetson had like 26 points at halftime. And I know FGCU scored 26 points in the third quarter. They just took off with that game. They're one of our teams that's undefeated on the women's side. Kennesaw State is off to their best start in program history. Shout out to Coach Blue, our player of the week, Princess Harden. And I think you can't talk women's basketball right now without talking about Central Arkansas. Handling business against Lipscomb and Austin Peay. Went to overtime with the Bisons. 1-point win against the Cubs. So, UCA, I see you. We'll get there. We'll get there. 'Cause I got a question.
Yeah, I got a lot. First of all, you can't. We're definitely going to talk some UCA today. UNA. And, again, you mentioned shout out to KSU off to their ASUN Conference best start. So, that's pretty awesome. And also just want to give a huge shout out to Jacksonville, Coach Special Jennings. They got their first conference win. So big things. But go ahead. I'm going to let you handle it. Go ahead.
I mean, I was going to get there. We touched on a lot of things. We get there, but it's never too early to give out some flowers. You always got to get the flowers out where you can give. Got that win down there at Jacksonville. Both of them got wins. Florida as well. On the men's side, EKU continues to look strong. 4-0. They're just doing what they got to do. They're just handling business. I mean, there's a lot going on around. We got top 10 national teams going down. We got buzzer beaters going down. EKU just handling business.
Consistent, just handling
model
business. Of consistency.
Yeah, just handling business. Now, speaking of that, the buzzer beater, KSU undefeated at home. Game of the week last week with Stetson last Wednesday wasn't close. That game between KSU and Stetson, they kind of put the foot down on the Hatters, and that was you see that game, and that game was
interesting.
It was interesting, But then you turn around and then you have the game with FGCU, and that game was interesting that you probably would have thought coming out of that, seeing how FGCU has been hit with injuries. They're short lineup. They're not as deep as they would have liked to be. They go on the road. They lose to Queens. Kennesaw State kind of handles Stetson, a team that we would have said is top 3 or 4 in the conference, still are. But at that time, Stetson looked a little different. A week ago, we were talking about 2 undefeated teams. I know undefeated after 1 week is whatever it is. But at the same time, you've got a top 10 scorer in the nation, Jalen Black. I mean, there are things about that game. It was the game of the week for a reason. KSU dominates that game. So you would think, probably an expert here or there probably would say, well, I'm looking at this Saturday FGCU Kennesaw State game. FGCU with this, shorter, not as deep lineup, going on the road, losing to Queens, coming into this place where KSU just kind of stepped all over Stetson. You would think that game might be, might get out of hand as well, but it didn't. It did not. That game, probably looking back on it, was the game of the week on the men's side. That's just probably, I don't know what the perfect adjective is to describe the ending sequence of that game. Just the last, I don't know how long it was, minute or so. I mean, you've got the missed free throws, with FGCU up 3. Burden misses the free throws, 2 of them. KSU gets the offensive board, kicks it out to Simeon Cottle, who was 1 for 9 shooting in threes. Now we know Cottle is a bucket. We know he's a dagger. We know all that clutch, but that had not been his night. He shoots a three, and you foul the 3-point shooter.
Foul 3-point shooter. And what's so crazy is, Franco Miller Jr., like both of them. Like he had the foul on Burden and then had the foul on Cottle, like right there at the end. Because at that game, 26 seconds left, FGCU's up.
Yeah.
It's 75-72. So at that point, you're just like, all right, well, we see some things. I mean, it could still come down to it, but
he makes his free throws, and they're going to foul us. We're going to play the free throw game. That's what things are going to happen.
Yes.
And he misses both of them. So now it's like, you still up 75-72. You kick it out. Foul 3-point shooter. Cottle. Clutch. He comes in, he makes the free throws. So now we got a tie game. And I'm just watching it like, okay, maybe FG. I don't think anybody could have picked. You could have thrown a dart and not hit that on the bullseye to be like the sequence that ended up happening. They inbounded, bring it all the way down, Burden with the steal, by itself runs all the way to the corner. Then the step back into the corner for the three. It just looked like a video game. Like it
didn't even look like a video game. I want to tell you, it looked like, I can't remember the year exactly, but fourth quarter, tight game. Carl the Mailman Malone gets the ball on the post. Jordan steals it. Comes down the court. Clears out. Byron Russell, top of the key, last shot, final shot. Jordan. That's what it looked like. I'm just telling you, that sequence, that's what it looked like.
Ooh, that's a now.
If I can play them side by side, I would. That's what it looked like.
I know. I mean, everybody got to know what you're talking.
Everybody knows about Jordan's final shot.
But you're putting that up there as far as a unbelievable sequence. You're putting that up there with the steal, go down.
The only difference is at the time that was Jordan's last shot, and we all know Terrell Burton's probably going to play next week. But for context, it looked the same.
It was crazy.
It looked the same.
Crazy. And I think they talked to him after the game. He was like, I'm gonna get this for that. He looked like he was not passing the ball.
Nah, he knew what time it was. Yeah. Like, it was pretty much, he was like, hold my drink. Like, yeah. I got this.
I got this.
That's pretty much what it was, because even, like, going into that half, he was perfect in the second half shooting.
Yeah, right.
Like, he only attempted one shot in the first half, missed it, which was a 3, got to work in the second half. Mm-hmm. Just went to work.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Well-deserving player of the week.
Well-deserving player of the week. And Coach Petway said something after the game that I thought just resonated with me, and I was like, there's some truth in that. He said, Terrell Burden is Kennesaw State basketball.
Yeah. And
I was thinking about it because I remember when I first got here in Kennesaw State, it was a program that, some things were still, it was a struggling team at the time that I came in. And then I remember Terrell Burden coming in, and he was like a freshman at the time. It was right before he had his injury. And I seen him play, and I was like, that guy's different. I was like, just looking at the team, and, like, they had some players that were all conference, shout out to them. But when I saw that player just being a freshman and he was twitchy, he was getting to his spots, I was like, this guy is different. I got to watch this guy.
Yeah.
Later, tournament MVP.
Yeah, right. I mean, he is him.
He is him. He is. Yeah. You said it exactly.
Yeah,
he is him.
Yeah, he just.
I digress. He is him.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
He is. Yeah, and I think he said that. I've heard him say it several times that Terrell Burden is Kennesaw State men's basketball. So it's good to see the champs doing champ things.
Champs do champ things.
They're doing it right now. So if I was to ask you, preseason, that 2 weeks into conference play, there will be 3 undefeated women's basketball teams. How many of the 3 teams that are undefeated would you have gotten right?
Ooh, let me see.
If you say anything other than 1.
Exactly. I was going to say, because I'm looking at the standings now. Shout out McKenzie on these graphics. They look beautiful. Looking at it, I'm like, man, all right, FGCU.
Right.
I could see that. Central Arkansas coming into conference play, I was like, yo, watch Central Arkansas, because there are some things going on. There's some things going on down there in Arkansas. Kennesaw State, True Blue era. I knew they were going to be a good squad. 3-0, best start
Yeah, in program history.
in program history as far as conference play is concerned. Yeah. They're in my power rankings.
I mean, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
They're in mine too.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, they were in mine last. I was, but I mean, they're doing. I mean, it's obviously it's good to see that growth again. We talked about teams coming, and I mean, you look at the postseason last year. I mean, they knocked off a team that had just come out final the year before. So they're moving in the right direction. So was there anything this week that caught you off guard? Anything that you were like, I saw this happen, didn't expect to see that happen? I mean, I've got one that just jumps out to me.
Which way you want to take? You want to stay with women or?
We'll stay with women because I can't think of something that really surprised me on the men's side. I think everything outside of again, the ending to the FGCU KSU game was unpredictable. Obviously, the way it ended, I think that game was as close as it was. Surprised me a little bit. I thought KSU would have handled it a little bit. I thought it would have been more in KSU's favor, especially coming off of that Stetson game and FGCU coming off of a loss on the road. But credit to FGCU. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to go away. Like I would have. And again, you look again. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we're looking at the NEI, Florida War, which is a good team. Took overtime. Then they knock off number 7 in the country, and it's like, yeah. Then they come into conference play. So I think but I don't think they the way they play. I mean, the people on that team, like they're ballers, and I think that they just showed that KSU game showed that they're swinging. But I guess the thing that kind of surprised me, and again, as I talk about it, I don't know if this should be as shocking as it was, but Austin Peay going 0-2 this week.
Yes.
Both of those games. I think I didn't expect that. Now, on the flip side, to counterbalance that, to bring my shock level down a little bit, it's not like they got destroyed on the road or anything like that. Like, they didn't go in, it wasn't like, oh, this was, I mean, they lost by 1. I think they lost by 3 or 4 or something like that to North Alabama. They had not been on the road in over a month. So, that's plays into it a little bit. So, I mean, you're at home from December 3rd to January 9th or 10th or whatever it was. That's a while to be at home, going back on the road, getting back to it. They as of now, I think they only got 1 road win. So I think they'll get back to form. But that I didn't really expect that when I was looking at the results and everything. I was like, 0-2, okay. Yeah. So anything that just kind of, it could be big shock, little shock, could be hit, something that made you pay attention, like,
I mean, what you said, I didn't expect that to happen. I thought that this was a tough week for them, and I thought that, if they dropped one of those games, I could see it. Dropping both of them, it caught my attention. On the flip side of that, Central Arkansas winning both those games, I thought that was something I didn't expect also. I thought, coming into that, if they picked up one of those games, it was going to be a statement. Picking up both of those, I don't know what's more than a statement. Like, it's an emphatic exclamation point. We're here. Because like I had to look back at my.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
We're here.
Statement has a period, but an exclamation
point. Yeah, it was
an exclamation.
It was an exclamation because just watching that Lipscomb game, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, just watching the game at the beginning, I saw some things and I was like, first, Lipscomb had a size advantage. They got out rebounded by Central Arkansas. That caught my attention. I was like, and Central Arkansas played some defense because going into that game, like when it first started, Aaliyah Sorrentino, she was having her way. Like, it was a problem. Like, you either had to put her on the line or she was getting a bucket. One or the other. But then after that, like coming in, she was having a hard time getting some of those buckets because I thought that game, in order for Lipscomb to pull out that game, once watching it, I was like, all right, she's going to have a big game. Like, I'm looking at 30 and 20 because I'm like, it's there for her. Like, I believe she went 7 for 22. Yeah, she went 7 for 22 for the field, 19.16 rebounds. Like, it was definitely there. She hits like half her shots. She's in that 30-point area. So I was like, she's gonna have a big game. But some of the players from Central Arkansas, they stepped up, they defended well, and they made that height advantage that Lipscomb had. They gave them a hard time. So I thought that was interesting. And even going in overtime and it just becoming like the Randria Wright show in overtime, I was like, okay, like this is something to look out for, especially given the fact that Jade Upshaw, Kenley Fisher, they struggled that game, But going into that Austin P game, I was like, okay, I can see Austin P, pulling this one out. But even winning that Austin P game, I was like, man, this team is for real. Like, and when I say for real, like, we knew that, but exclamation points.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you can see, again, you're in our conference, you got the wins or however it's going, but does it, these are the ones that I guess, quote unquote, matter, because this is, seeding and all those type of things, and then you get the home game in the postseason, and having wins against teams that, the Lipscombs and the Austin Peas, having that in your back pocket early in the season, you got to take it when you can get it. So I think we're impressed with Central Arkansas, so I'm curious to see where they are in your power rank.
All right.
So let's just jump into it.
Okay, we're finna jump into it.
Let's just jump into it.
Okay. All right, jumping into it. These power rankings, I'm here. All right, so power rankings, I wrote them down because I wanted to be fast with this. But there's some people.
How many sixes you have this week?
What's up? I mean, 6. I have 1 6.
You have 1. Okay.
But I did have to look at 7 and 8 real hard just to make 100% sure.
Yeah.
Because even looking at it, I had number 6, North Alabama. North Alabama is my 6. I'm not sure where they are with you, but North Alabama, they have, first of all, just looking at their losses, they have some credible losses. Like right now, I believe they're 1 and 2. But, those losses were to UCA, they're to Lipscomb. They defeated Austin P. So I'm like, just looking at it, they're my 6. All right, 5, I have Stetson. So have to go with Stetson right now. Stetson, I'm really looking at, I believe like a test that they will have and a test that will further look at my power rankings. It's just going into this weekend. They play Kennesaw State. So they play Kennesaw State on Thursday. I want to see, where they're going to stack up with Kennesaw State. And that segs right into my number 4. Number 4, Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State, I believe right now, they have a chance to make some noise this weekend. Just going into Stetson this Thursday, FGCU this weekend. We're going to see what it's all about. Right now, they're 3-0.
Yeah.
We're going to see what that undefeated looks like. Yeah. Because they have some tough games this week.
Oh, I think a lot of, like, look at their schedule. It's about to,
yeah.
It's about to get tough. Not saying that, but again, you're 3-0. Mm-hmm. So you've got that. You started off strong. You got some builds of confidence, but the tests are coming. We know.
Yeah,
they're coming.
And number 3. Lipscomb. I have Lipscomb still in my number 3, just because right now, they're 3-1. They've only dropped 1 game. That is to Central Arkansas. And I had to go there just because they dropped that game to Central Arkansas. I think I had them at my number 2 last year. But, Central Arkansas has entered the chat. So I have to go Central Arkansas at number 2, just based off of their big week that they had last week in beating Lipscomb as well as beating Austin P. They had EKU coming up this Thursday, so I believe that's another big game for them. So right now they're just running the gauntlet of all of those teams that were previously in my power rankings and relatively high. So I just want to see how that stacks out. And of course, number 1, New Day, same team, FGCU 3-0. They have their wins were against Jacksonville, UNF, Stetson. Right now, I'm really looking forward to their January 25th matchup with Lipscomb. Hopefully we can make that, that we're there. But I'm really looking forward to that game because I believe that that's going to be a test and it has some like finals implications. But as you see, there's some people missing on my list.
There are
some people missing on my list.
My list, I'll tell you right now, the top 4 are the exact same.
Okay.
I got my FGC was 1, Central Arkansas 2, Lipscomb 3, Kansas State 4.
Okay, look at us. Great minds, I tell you.
The team that I have in mind that is not in yours, and this is iffy. This is interesting. I got Austin P at 5.
Okay.
They're replacing North Alabama.
Okay.
Now, because I am taking less away from Austin P for their 2 losses. And I think you're giving more credit to North Alabama for their win. Mm-hmm. So Austin P fell out of yours, and they stayed in mind. I mean, the 1-point loss to the Central Arkansas, 4-point loss to North Alabama on the road. I didn't hit them that hard, so they dropped a little bit. 6, I got Stetson at 6, and I think looking at Stetson, I mean, you can't look at it and say, you have to look at their loss, like you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. The loss that they have, they lost to FGCU. So I think they're still playing well. I think they're playing well. Then so it's hard for me to put a 1-win team above Stetson right now. So, but the top 4 we were locked in. So that's interesting. So
yeah. Only thing I could say is the only reason why I put Stetson at the 5 right now is Stetson is 2-1. And again, like some things are going to further shake out when they play Kennesaw State this Thursday. But I had to put North Alabama at 6 just because they beat Austin P.
No, it's fair. And if I was taking out Austin P, if I didn't have Austin P there, Stetson would come up because I wouldn't have North Alabama above Stetson. So I see where you got there. You just docking more for you went 0-2 on the week.
Yeah.
So that's fair. Hey, it's fair.
And I could say, and that could change. It's fluid. So it can definitely change because Austin P wins that game if they hit their free throws.
Right.
Like they were 8 for 16 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they win that game if they shoot like a reasonable amount from the free throw line. Also, if Allie Craig Cruz, if she doesn't go nuclear, she was on 1 that game. So, that's, I see that. And, for them having Shamari Hill, like they got killed on the boards. Like it was a 34-19 advantage. I was like, man, I didn't see that coming. Like they got killed on the boards. So, but it was a back and forth game. There was 12 lead changes. So that could go either way. And then EKU didn't make that list either. So, and I think EKU is going to be on that list
EKU
close to the end of the season. But I don't know. I have to leave them off because if they don't flick that on switch, I can't leave them there.
Yeah. So, switching over to the men's, and I can lay mine out first.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 6, Central Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah. I think from what I thought, again, coming into the season, the North Alabama win looked pretty good. And you lost to EKU, probably a team that I would say, I would think, that didn't surprise me. But you come back and I think you win a winnable game against Bellevue. You do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do. So, particular teams doing what they're supposed to do. North Florida is 5.
Okay.
You got Jacksonville. Right now, you go out there and win. I feel like that was I wasn't really leaning one way or the other in that game looking at it. I think the game was pretty close. North Florida kind of took away at the end, but you do what you got to do. You win your games. 4, Lipscomb. I think Lipscomb will be there. Lipscomb will be in the conversation at the end. That was a good game from them. Stetson, 3. Same thing. I think my top 4. I think there's always going to be, until something dramatic happens, I think my 4 are just going to, whatever the word is. I know there's a word. I can't think of it right now, but they're going to, I wouldn't even say rotate.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I still have my top 4 are still my top 4.
Okay.
So Stetson is there. They lost to Kennesaw State. It wasn't it wasn't pretty. But they did what they handled business against Queen. Number 2 is EKU. Now I put EKU at 2 because I think that Kennesaw State. I think that Kennesaw State has played better games. I think they've been tested more. I think Queens tested KSU. I think FGCU tested KSU. Stetson did not test KSU, but I think Stetson is a better team than FGCU or Queens. So I think that's I still got to go with KSU. Stetson was my top team. KSU beat my top team. I gotta be consistent. So I gotta slide them up. Again, this is my rotation of these top 4. Stetson falling down to 3, bumping up KSU to 1. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay, man, we were locking stuff on some things. The one difference, what's so funny is I had UCA slotted at the 6, and then I had to go back after I looked at some things, 6. And I was like, I got to move out. I was like, I got to shuffle things around because even at my number 6 is going to be Austin P. I have Austin P at the 6, just because I was looking at the wins. Or the losses, I should say. Austin P, their losses came against Lipscomb, they came against EKU. Whereas Central Arkansas, their wins have come against UNA and Bellarmine. So I was like, even though they're, Austin P's 1-2, not Bellarmine, but Central Arkansas is 2-1. I was like, I'm going to put Austin P at the 6 until, just for this week. We'll see.
Now, I'm just going to test you on that. I'm just push it back a little bit. So you bumped Central Arkansas. You bumped 2-1 Central Arkansas out. Now, because you're giving more credit to the Lipscomb loss than the North Alabama win, because that's the only difference. They both lost to EKU. They both beat Bellarmine. So the only difference is one of them lost to Lipscomb and one of them beat North Alabama.
And it was the way they lost.
Okay.
Because EKU, that game against EKU, Austin P, that was a dog fight.
That was a game. That was a game. All right. I'm just, I got to try to push on the power rankings a little bit. But no, okay. So Austin P coming in at 6.
Austin P coming in at 6. 5, North Florida. Okay. And so we're there. I wish I was at that game that they played against Jacksonville. There was 4,500 people in attendance. I think that's their 6th largest crowd ever in that arena. That was playoff atmosphere. Right there. I needed to be there. But they're at the 5. I have Lipscomb at the 4, Stetson at the 3. Stetson, we had to go back in the drawing board. I had Stetson at my number 2 last week. They played Kennesaw State last week. And one thing I can say about Kennesaw State, because I named 6 people, and I was like, who's going to be that 7th person? I didn't take into account to the Kennesaw State defense. That defense was smothering. There was, when the game started, I was like, okay, how are they going to get past this defense? Because they were running their dribble handoffs at the top of the key, and I was like, they're not getting any separation. There's no shots coming available. Nothing's coming open. And then they got back in the game shortly because Jalen Blackman, and they just started shooting over the top of it. So I was like, that's not going to hold. I was like, I see them shooting over the top of it. They're bringing the game back, but that's not going to hold. And sure enough, it was a game. It was a game. So I was like, I was happy they bounced back their next game, but that game I was like, all right, they're gonna have to figure out some things because that defense was stifling. Number 2, we flip flop again. I have Kennesaw State. I have Kennesaw State at the 2. My reason being is 1, because I had EKU coming in, which is my number 1. I had EKU coming in as the number 1 seed. And I haven't seen anything right now. Their average win percentage is 12 points a game, most largely due to that Central Arkansas game this past weekend. But they haven't done anything to discourage me from
seeing them as a team right now.
Yeah, as not being the best team. And then Central Arkansas, Terrell Burden has carried them against FGCU. Stetson, he went off again. I'm looking forward to this game this Thursday versus North Florida. I may have to take some things in account depending on what that game looks like. So, but those are my power rankings.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, just because right now, all 3 of their games right now that they've won have been at home. I want to see them get out on the road. I want to see them get out and cause some damage. So
that is a fair, I don't want to say ask, but that's a fair assessment of saying when you're looking at Kennesaw State and wanting to say, you know, hey, what does this team look like outside of that building? Now, you handle business. You don't have to leave out of that building like they showed last year.
Mm-hmm.
They run through it.
Yeah.
It's got to come. You got to come here. I mean, 8-0 at home, 2-5 in true road games. So that's fair. I think that's a perfect transition into talk about some games to watch coming up. That's one I got my eyes on. I do want to see, like you said, what KSU will do on the road. And I want to see North Florida, like I said earlier, they're winning games. This is one of those games. I mean, this is the game last year that they won on the half-court shot, right?
This is the game last year. North Florida won on that half-court shot. And actually, because this was my game of the week, my personal game of the week, where I was like, I'm watching this game because, like, this is their second best start in conference. Like, this is the second best. I mean, this is the second time they started out 3-0. I looked because I was like, well, it's definitely last year. So,
KSU?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I was like, it was definitely last year. So I was like, but it wasn't, because half-court shot or shot from the bird, the birds of Trey. The shot heard around the world. Like,
yeah, that was crazy. It was just I don't know. It just, they got hit with one of those this season. Say East Carolina,
yeah,
who got them with the half-court shot, I believe. But yeah, that's what I remember from this matchup last year. But it was a good one. So looking forward to that. I think my game of the week, this is the game I'm watching. And it always hurts when I look at games of the week or what's the game of the week going to be, because I have to stop. It's hard to, you look towards Saturday, you be like, the teams are playing on Thursday. But on Thursday, North Alabama is going to Austin Peay. I'm just curious to see. I don't really know either of those teams right now. I don't really know, is Austin Peay that team? Is North Alabama as good as they were last? I'm very curious to see what they do. So I got my eyes on the North Alabama and Austin Peay game. On the women's side,
okay,
Central Arkansas at EKU. I want to see if UCA can keep things going. They look good, but I also want to see, like you alluded to earlier, can EKU, are they ready to turn it on? Are they ready to flip the switch? They got the win against Bellarmine. Does that get them going, so to speak? I mean, again, they're not just complete. They're 1-2. So we're not talking about a team that's like, 0-6 or something, and half the season's out of the way. Like, it's only 2 weeks. They played 3 games. But do want to see, can they flip the switch, put the pressure on that we kind of think that they were going to be applying to teams this year. So those are the games to watch. I'm excited to see them.
Same here.
We're getting to the point where it's just ultra competitive, exciting. ASUN men's and women's basketball. So make sure to check out the ASUN Gameday Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever you do. Figure it out. Check in. Lock in with us. Kendrell Watkins, William Hall. ASUN Conference.
I'm going to do it. Peace.